Hello, welcome to English 10B Unit 9 audio lecture with myself, Miss Amador. This is the second video for this unit. Go ahead and turn to page 33, and you're going to look at these sound devices, which are going to be very important, so that way you can later on in the unit analyze poetry. So these different sound devices, they're all bolded. You'll notice alliteration, assonance, consonants, and onomatopoeia. So you can highlight those now. You can always refer back to this page. You can go ahead and cross out the bottom where it says fill in the chart. You can cross out that chart. We should have covered that in class and put them on our Cornell notes on pages 30, 31, and 32. So just go ahead and take a look at the screen now. Sound devices. Well, poets use a number of sound devices to achieve a musical quality. So that's kind of why we appreciate poetry. It's definitely full of just colorful techniques, creative techniques that the poet, that the writer puts into their work. So it stands out as being different than just regular stories that we find in literature books. So one of the literary or sound devices we're going to talk about is alliteration. Alliteration is a repetition of initial sounds in neighboring words. So you'll notice here it's pretty obvious because obviously all of the A's are in a different color font. They're in red and they're underlined. So it makes it really easy for you to identify it on this slide. Just keep in mind that when you're looking through your poems that you will be analyzing and critiquing. What's important is that the beginning, the initial sounds of these words near each other are repeating. So obviously the A sound is repeating. Allie ate apples all afternoon. But just because this example shows an A, which is a vowel, it does not need to be a vowel. For example, have you ever heard of Sally sold seashells by the seashore or Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers? They're both examples of alliteration, and notice that the sounds that are repeating at the beginning of these nearby words are also consonants. So again, not just vowels. Assonance, and in this case, I always tell my students, assonance starts with what? It starts with an A. And so in this case, it is important that it's a vowel that we're paying attention to. So assonance is repeating a vowel sound throughout a sentence, phrase, paragraph, or an entire piece of writing. So again, A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. So an example here is the cat ran after the alligator who was trying to assist an alarmed drowning armadillo to get across the river. So again, it's obvious in this example because all of the A's here are highlighted in nearby words, of course, and it's not that even though here in this case the A is in the front end of the word, that's okay. It still is an example with its neighboring words here that also contain the A sound, the vowel sound A. So in this case, it was an entire sentence, which happens to be quite long. Assonance examples, you can go ahead and pause it here if you'd like to read through all of these examples. We did so in class. We noticed the O here, that vowel sound was repeated. The E sound was repeated, the A sound. So you can go through all of that and just, again, tell yourself, when I'm looking at my poem, they're not going to be bolded. They're not going to be underlined. I'm going to have to train my eye and think of my vowels and just look at the words very carefully. What is consonance? It is a repetition of consonant sounds located other than at the beginning of words. So our English alphabet is made up of how many vowels? That's right, 5 vowels, A, E, I, O, and U. So all of the other letters in the alphabet are actually called consonants. So what is consonance? Again, the repetition of consonant sounds located other than at the beginning of words. So examples, we see drop and up. So what's repeating? The P sound, which is a consonant, not a vowel, and that fits the definition here. We see sucks and slobbers, stones and snorts. The S sound is repeated, and then in this case, the T is also repeated. Okay, notice we're not referring to at the beginning of the word. Okay, so it's located somewhere in the word, but not at the beginning. We don't want to get confused with alliteration. Onomatopoeia, a word that imitates the sound it represents. So we hear someone jumped in the pool and they made a big splash. So splash would be an example of that sound that we're trying to describe in our story. So splash, we were chewing gum and we blew a big bubble and then it went pop, bang. Okay, we're trying to describe noises here. And then if you ever read the comics or were into comic books, you're going to see a lot of these expressions, which are examples of onomatopoeia. Again, pow, crash, boom. So check your understanding. What is alliteration? What is consonance? What is assonance? If you can stop for a moment, pause the video, and see if you can quiz yourself, then you're doing great. Okay, so I had this up when we were looking at some examples of some poems and looking for examples of these different sound devices. I included repetition. That's something you should be familiar with. It's when a sound, word, phrase, or line is repeated for emphasis in a poem. So most of you will find that in the poems, words or phrases repeated. And then these are the terms that we just considered. Okay, so that's where we're going to stop for today. Let me just double check. Yes, and then this is a checklist that I will be bringing up again in the next lesson. I keep it updated in the next video. You can pause this and make sure that you're all up to date with the homework. This is as of today, November 1st. Alrighty, so thank you so much, and look out for the next video.